Fans are divided. Is Kathryn Bernardo happier with Alden Richards or Daniel Padilla? In Philippine entertainment, few names carry as much emotional weight as Kathryn Bernardo. For over a decade, fans watched her grow from a young teen star into one of the most powerful actresses of her generation. They saw her laugh, cry, fall in love on screen, and eventually experience love off-screen. But now, conversations are shifting, and the question echoing across social media is simple, yet deeply emotional. Is Kathryn Bernardo happier with Alden Richards or with Daniel Padilla? It's not just a debate. It's a reflection of years of loyalty, nostalgia, growth, and new beginnings. It's the era that defined a generation. For many fans, Kathryn and Daniel were more than just a love team. They were a phenomenon. From blockbuster films to sold-out concerts, their partnership dominated headlines and hearts. The Kath-Neil era shaped an entire chapter of Philippine pop culture. Their chemistry felt effortless. Their interviews were playful. Their bond appeared strong and steady. Supporters invested emotionally, not just in projects, but in the relationship itself. For years, they symbolized young love growing up under the spotlight, and that kind of history doesn't disappear easily. A new chapter begins. Then came a shift. As Kathryn entered a new season of her life, personally and professionally, fans began noticing subtle changes. Her aura felt different, calmer, more introspective, more self-assured. Around the same time, her public interactions with Alden Richards drew attention, not because they were dramatic, but because they were gentle. There was a noticeable comfort, an ease in conversation, a softness in shared moments. And that's when the comparisons began. Chemistry versus compatibility. Supporters on both sides have strong opinions. Some believe Kathryn's history with Daniel represents a deep, irreplaceable bond, built over years of shared growth, challenges, and milestones. Others feel that her interactions with Alden reveal something more mature, less intense, more grounded. But perhaps the real conversation isn't about choosing one over the other. It's about understanding seasons. Daniel represented youth, the era of firsts, the spark of early fame, the excitement of building something together. Alden represents something different: stability, emotional steadiness, a shared maturity shaped by life experience, and neither is inherently better. They're simply different. The local are talking about. One recurring comment across fan discussions is this: Kathryn looks peaceful, not louder, not flashier, not overly dramatic, just peaceful. And peace is often mistaken for boredom in a world addicted to chaos. But peace can signal growth. It can signal healing. It can signal clarity. Fans analysing interviews and public appearances often point out how Kathryn carries herself now, confident, composed, unshaken. The debate isn't just about who she smiles with more, it's about the energy surrounding her. Loyalty versus letting go. For long-time supporters of Kathryn and Daniel, the conversation can feel emotional because it's not just about two celebrities, it's about memories, moments tied to specific films, songs, and life chapters. Letting go of a beloved pairing can feel like closing a personal chapter, but growth often requires change, and change, even when healthy, can feel uncomfortable. Meanwhile, those rooting for Kathryn and Alden see potential, not based on fantasy, but on observed respect and calm connection. It's less about fireworks, more about foundation, the reality behind the headlines. It's important to remember something crucial. Only Kathryn truly knows where her happiness lies. Public appearances show glimpses, interviews reveal fragments, but the full story of anyone's heart exists beyond cameras. Fans see chemistry, but only she feels compatibility. Fans see smiles, but only she knows what brings peace at night. And perhaps that's the most respectful truth in all of this. Happiness isn't a competition. The real question may not be, is she happier with Alden or Daniel? It may be, is she happier now? Because happiness evolves. The things that fulfilled someone at 18 may not fulfill them at 28. The energy that felt exciting in one season may feel overwhelming in another, and growth isn't betrayal, it's transformation. Kathryn's journey, independent of any partner, is ultimately about self-discovery. Her career continues to flourish, her confidence continues to strengthen, her presence continues to mature, and maybe that's the most important story. What fans can learn. The division among fans reveals something universal. We attach meaning to the stories we witness. We root for love, we celebrate connection, we fear endings. But sometimes the most loving thing supporters can do is allow their favourite artist the freedom to choose her own path. Whether that includes Alden, whether that reconnects with Daniel, or whether it leads somewhere entirely unexpected. True support isn't about control, it's about trust. Final reflection. Kathryn Bernardo's happiness isn't a public poll. It isn't determined by trending hashtags. It isn't measured by comparison. Her happiness is her own. And maybe that's the real shift happening right now. Not a love triangle, not a rivalry. But a woman stepping confidently into her next chapter with grace, clarity, and strength. Fans may be divided, but one thing remains united. Everyone wants to see her genuinely happy, and perhaps that's the only outcome that truly matters. And perhaps that's where the conversation should gently land. Not on rivalry, not on comparison, not on choosing sides, but on growth. Because when you look at Kathryn Bernardo today, what stands out isn't who stands beside her. It's how she stands on her own. The power of becoming. There's something powerful about a woman who has spent most of her life in the public eye, finally stepping into a version of herself that feels fully chosen. Not molded by expectations, not defined by a love team, not limited to a narrative written by fans or headlines, but authored by her own decisions. For years, people associated Kathryn with partnerships, iconic ones that shaped Philippine pop culture. Her chapter with Daniel Padilla was historic, unforgettable, and deeply meaningful to millions. Now, her name is often mentioned alongside Alden Richards, sparking new conversations and curiosity. But perhaps the most important name beside Kathryn's right now is simply her own. A different kind of glow. Fans often describe it as a glow, but it's not just physical, it's emotional. It's the glow of someone who has learned from love, not been broken by it. The glow of someone who has experienced pressure but refused to be defined by it. The glow of someone who has discovered that happiness doesn't always have to be loud to be real. Peace can be quiet. Confidence can be subtle, strength can be soft, and Kathryn's current chapter feels less like a performance and more like alignment. Outgrowing expectations. There's a moment in every person's life when they outgrow the version of themselves that others are most comfortable with. That moment can feel uncomfortable, especially when millions of people are watching. But growth is rarely convenient. It asks you to release what was once beautiful. It asks you to trust what you cannot fully see yet. It asks you to prioritize your own well-being over public approval. And perhaps that's exactly what Kathryn is doing now. Not rejecting her past, not erasing history, but honoring it while still moving forward. Love redefined. Maybe this chapter isn't about choosing between two names. Maybe it's about redefining what love looks like for her. Love might mean calm over chaos, support over spotlight, maturity over momentum. Or perhaps it simply means choosing herself first. For someone who has given so much of her youth to an industry, to fans, to projects, to partnerships, reclaiming personal joy becomes revolutionary because real happiness isn't performative, it's personal. What true support looks like when fans argue over who makes her happier, it comes from care, from investment, from loyalty. But true support evolves too. It shifts from ownership to encouragement, from comparison to celebration, from demanding answers to offering space. The most beautiful form of fandom is one that says, we trust you. We trust your heart. We trust your growth. We trust your timing. The woman she is becoming. Kathryn Bernardo is no longer the teenage actress audiences first fell in love with. She is a woman shaped by experience, by heartbreak, by triumph, by responsibility, and by self-discovery. Her journey now feels less about fairy tales and more about fulfillment, less about spectacle and more about substance. And that's not a downgrade, that's evolution. The real story isn't who does she look happier with? The real story is she looks stronger, she looks clearer, she looks at peace with her choices. And sometimes strength is more important than excitement. Clarity is more important than chemistry. Peace is more important than popularity. A closing thought. Fans may continue debating, headlines may continue speculating, social media may continue comparing, but somewhere beyond the noise, Kathryn is living her real life, making real decisions, feeling real emotions, and building a future that belongs to her, not to a narrative. And maybe that's the most beautiful plot twist of all. Not a dramatic reveal and rivalry resolved, but a woman choosing happiness on her own terms. And that's a story worth celebrating.